Let's begin with your story. How did you two meet and what drew you to each other?
So we both met in the Air Force. We were stationed at Travis together. We were both in the same job. And she was a new airman. I'd been around for a little while. And realistically, her booty and scrubs is what caught me. I was like, who is that? But she was also really quiet and kind of well reserved and stayed to herself, which kind of naturally drew me to her. She was a little bit more on the mysterious side, and I didn't know a lot about her.
Let's see. I think I noticed him for the first time when he was walking in a direction. I noticed his arms, and I was like, okay, he's looking kind of. And but I didn't really like him at first because I felt like he was rude. And but I did hear stories about him and how he was as a person. So I started finding interest in him at that time.
So what do you think kept your love going through the years?
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot of the same goals. Um, Family goals. We're both very driven. I feel like we complement each other very well. And I can trust him, and he just had all the things that I needed in a man. So yeah, I think trust and all that stuff, get us through anything that comes up and any challenges that come up.
Yeah, I think I would second that. Like, even on days where I don't necessarily like her, there's still that piece where you still love this person because of the core pieces they bring to the relationship. Again, for me, trust is everything. Like, when you have those heated arguments or those discussions where you're frustrated, you got to know that things are going to be okay after this. And I think just building that trust and knowing we'll get through it over and over and over again, despite what life has thrown at us, I think is what.
Yeah, and I would say he's probably he's my best friend. So yeah, the foundation, having that friendship, will get you through some things too.
Yeah, I agree.
That's beautiful. Okay. So let's go into love as healing. So what has love helped you heal or overcome? And is there a moment that changed everything for your relationship?
I'm gonna start with this one. I think when I got diagnosed with my medical condition and I saw how he stepped up, and we were only dating for about 6 months at the time. He stepped up and didn't run from the situation. That was probably the moment I realized that, yeah, I'm gonna stick it out with him regardless. So that was love to me.
What about you, Ashton? Is there
For
a moment
me,
that changed everything for your relationship?
that changed everything, man.
There's a lot of moments.
There's a lot, but I could say probably the first moment I'd gotten myself in some trouble in the military and I got my ass kicked out, and there was a period where like money was tight and I was young, and I was leaning on my military career real heavy, and she essentially was like, look, I'll help you, you just gotta ask. And from there, I mean, like, we've just, even on days we didn't like each other, we had each other's back. And it was, from the beginning, it was kind of like a team effort. So I think that same kind of dynamic she was talking about, from her diagnosis with her neurological condition, and then me getting kicked out the military, was all kind of around the same time. So
literally,
yeah, like within months.
Yeah.
And we stuck through it, and I think that kind of helped us realize we could get through anything.
So it sounds like for Tae, it was like the neurological condition, and him just sticking around really helped you understand, like, this is it, like, this is my person.
Yeah.
And then for Ashton, it was like you got kicked out the military and she was there to support you and like help you through a difficult time for both of y'all. So it sounds like that those circumstances are helping y'all through the years kind of rise in love, and that love is building deep because of these experiences. So, with that said, what does rising in love mean to you?
Okay. So, rising in love for me, you know, I find that you find love fairly early on. I don't think it's this like super deep and drawn out process. I think that there is a period where you realize that the person that you're with is constantly changing, and you have to learn to adjust to that person. And I think that the love that you establish early on is what allows you to continue that versus, you know, having to fall in love with your partner over and over and over again. I think you love them enough, which is what helps you get through difficult times on a day-to-day basis. For example, I've become a pretty avid outdoorsman over the last like 6 or 7 years, like to where I do a lot of stuff outdoors, and her support through that has allowed me to expand and find different avenues and aspects of myself that I didn't even really knew existed. So love is her learning to adjust to where I am, and the love we have for each other is what allows us to get to that point.
Okay, so Tay, what does rising in love mean to you?
Yeah. So I've heard this. I think you will marry, or you will meet probably about 5 or 6 different versions of your partner throughout your life. Maybe 4 or 5. And I think learning, kind of like he said, learning how to be open to their whatever comes with their growth and development, learning who they are, who they're becoming, and yeah, constantly finding new ways to continue to fall in love with that person, the different versions of their self as you age. So I think rising in love is just being adaptable with your partner as they grow. Yeah.
What's one piece of wisdom that you can offer to another couple that's on this path of trying to grow together and like sustain their relationship or marriage through the years?
Be resilient. Young couples nowadays, or younger couples, because I would still consider me being on the younger side of a couple, and I'll explain that in just a minute, but be resilient. You're not going to be happy every damn day. Like, there's going to be bad weeks. There's going to be, you know, rough times in your marriage. Kids add a new dynamic. You know, buying property adds a new dynamic. Making money adds a new dynamic. I mean, there's so many different things that can just shift the direction from the couple to like something else. And you start not liking each other for silly things. One of the things that was taught to me was, and it was really like enlightening, or it was a very profound moment, but it was, we like to think of our marriage and how old we are, or our relationships and how old we are. But you have to think about your marriage in the years that it's been around. So for example, like my wife and I, we've been married for 11 years, and I wouldn't trust an 11-year-old to give me relationship advice. Even though that 11-year-old is 11 years in life, we're looking at 11 years in marriage. And there's a difference between 11 years in marriage and 40 years in marriage. There's a different kind of growth that happens during that time frame. So it's allow the rough times to be rough and grow with them, and not look for trying to be happy as the metric of the success of your marriage all the time.
Yeah. That was good. Very good.
That was good.
So I would say learn to listen more than you want to respond when it comes to your partner. And, you know, always come from the mindset of they have good intentions if they're telling you something. So listen more than you speak. And, you know, kind of like you mentioned, like the relationship is only 11 years old. So be comfortable with the discomfort of the growth that's going to come with this. So be adaptable. I think that's the biggest thing. Resilience, adaptable, and be open.
That was good. That was great. Resilience, adaptable, and be open. And then Ashton, you said, it's still fairly new, even though you've been together for 11 years. Like, an 11-year-old is still an inexperienced child. That's a good way to put it.
We're in our preteens of marriage.
Yeah. Okay. So preteens of marriage. Yeah. Okay. So I got this concept, Phree in Love, from the Instagram page, right? And it was to just celebrate our union and like kind of share wisdom that we've learned through the years. And like you said, we're not experts, we're new in it, but it's people who are not making it this far, and I just wanted to give some advice. So that's really where the concept came from. And then I wanted to do more and expand it and really like do research around the themes that come up in making your marriage last and stuff. I'm doing a master's in social work, right? And I'm in a social work research class. So in this class, I had to pick a marginalized community and then like pick 5 scholarly sources and like come up with a research literature critique, I think that's what it's called. So I did like Black people, how do Black people in long-term partnerships like sustain their emotional intimacy and resiliency through the years. And it's like right aligned with this. And pretty much the themes that these sources were pointing out to was like protecting your emotional intimacy. So using that as a protective factor, building it and like doing intentional things to kind of build that connection. And then like coming up with like, or doing like coping strategies together, whether it's like praying or like going to church or your spirituality, any type of spirituality or any type of practice that you can do together to like work out your issues, whatever, even therapy or anything like of that nature. And then like the last one was like resiliency is cultivated. Is it like an automatic thing? You have to like weather the storm and grow through it and kind of learn these things, whatever. So with that said, what does Phree in Love mean to you? And how does your relationship reflect freedom, truth, or sacred union?
You go first. That's a good one.
Okay. So to love someone freely or to be free in love, I don't believe that we are able to love people freely. And the reason I say that is because if we did, we wouldn't have therapy. And to love someone freely would mean that we would have to give, or we essentially would be able to give them what we want them to have. And they would be able to receive that the way we want them to receive it. And then, we would have this reciprocity, this understood between one another. And unfortunately, that's just not the case, which is why we spend so much time having conversations, arguing, in therapy, or whatever the situation may be, because we have to learn how to love someone the way they want to receive love, not the way that we want to give it. So because of that, I don't think we have the freedom. I think we have the autonomy to work on whatever it is we want to work on for that person. But I don't think that, like, for example, like I'm more of a physically affectionate person and my wife is not like that. She's more of a quality time, let's watch a movie together, that kind of stuff. And I want to be like more intimate. And realistically, if I didn't take the time to learn how she loves and she didn't take the time to learn how I love, then we would have already failed. So to love someone freely, I think we have autonomy to love how the person that we're with wants to be loved, but we don't have the freedom to do it our way.
And that's what it's about, just getting different interpretations. Yeah. Like your interpretation's not going to be, it's probably going to be different. Like it could mean something completely different to you, Tae, and that's okay. So what does it mean to you what does Phree in Love mean to you?
The freedom to be who I am and be accepted for who I am. Also, the freedom to change without, barriers or pushback from the change. And him, or others adapting and loving me for who I'm becoming. So I think same with my husband, allowing him to change, and me, you know, accepting that change and learning to love that version of himself. So I think just, yeah, being free to be self and being loved for it.
That's a beautiful answer too. I like both interpretations.